Hello again. Welcome to the GoFormz webinar, all about best practices for increasing document collection speed and collaboration. You are being walked through this webinar today by me, Victoria Horn. I am a content marketing manager at GoFormz. And Summer, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Summer Wilkie. I'm a product manager here at GoFormz, and I'm responsible for managing data capture, which includes templates, template management, fields, and the experiences associated with those.
Yeah. Which makes you the absolute perfect person to be walking us through all about public forms and public data capture. So the agenda for today, we're going to cover, as you might imagine, what are GoFormz public forms? What's the difference between your typical forms that you use day-to-day in your account and public forms, and what some use cases for those might be. Summer is going to walk you through how to set those up, how to configure them, where to find them, and cover some common use cases for public forms. And then I'm going to highlight a few different use cases that we've got from case studies of our existing customers. And then we'll summarize everything with a couple key takeaways, and especially cover all the questions that all of you sent in during the session here, if you had questions or comments come up throughout the presentation. A few quick housekeeping things for all of you. One, hopefully, I'm hoping that a rather stern sounding woman at the very beginning of this webinar warned you that this is being recorded. That is not because we really need to watch it again. It's because we want to make it available to you to watch later, just in case you can't hang around for the whole webinar, or you want to go back and cover a couple key points again later, or if you registered for the webinar but aren't able to attend, which means that I'm only speaking to the people who watch the recording at this point, because obviously all of you are here, but we'll be posting this on our blog and sending out an email with a little bit of a recap as well, that can also include some links and important details that we covered during the webinar in case you have questions. So that recap email will cover a lot. Again, use the Q&A panel for your questions, because if you just say them out loud, sadly, we won't hear them. And those are the biggest things that I've got. So without further ado, let's jump into what exactly is a public form. So a public form, I know this is going to be a shocker, is a form that's available to the public. And in this case, that is the differentiator between users within your GoFormz account and anyone else on the internet. So typically, your forms are protected, they're kept within your own account, and they're available to all of your users. But public forms actually give you a way to send out those forms to people who aren't on your account. These are perfect for specifically like one-time data capture instances. If you don't need someone filling out a form repeatedly, then a public form is a fantastic solution for you. Generally, if you want to have people fill out forms multiple times, you're going to want to stick with having them as a user on your account, especially since the mobile apps give you so much more flexibility and more rich data capture. But in general, using a public form for those one-off cases, fantastic solution. The good news is the public forms get to keep the same fantastic features that you're used to. So if you have data sources set up, if you have tables or calculations or anything like that set up in your existing forms, when you set one up as a public form and share it with the public, all those same calculations and features still get shared with them. All right, next slide. This is sort of what I touched on just a minute ago. Anyway, so the difference between public forms and other digital forms is specifically who can access it. When we talk about public forms, it's not necessarily that we're saying it is immediately available to absolutely everyone, but it gives you the option of sending it out to people. You can use that through a web link, through a QR code, even a text message. It just gives you a little bit more control, or a little bit more flexibility in who can actually receive and edit and fill out your forms. So some of the advantages to this are increasing your document speed, which is the #1 thing that we're looking at here. So instead of having to track down individuals, maybe if you're working with a one-time contractor or vendor, instead of having to hunt them down, have them fill out a piece of actual paper, and then manually enter that in along with all of your other form data, now all of a sudden you have the ability to get the same streamlined data capture and have it sync up with the rest of your GoFormz data. It also gives you enhanced collaboration abilities. So this is a fantastic way to make sure that external users or remote staff have the ability to access all the same forms without necessarily having continued access to your GoFormz account. This can also help in some cases with security settings. If you have different limitations on who should be able to access what or see different user groups, this is another alternative to give you some more flexibility there. It also helps you increase your data quality because you're not manually entering data anymore. I don't know if you know this, as some of you might assume, being a member of the GoFormz team, I'm pretty passionate about getting rid of paper and streamlining data capture. It's a very big deal to me, and I need everyone to get on board with this mission. Do not settle for paper. Just don't. You're better than that. You deserve better than that. All right, that's the most soapboxy thing I'm going to say today. And then, of course, it gives you an improved customer experience. So having the ability for a nice, clean, modern, and digitized experience for all of your customer interactions, things like a client intake form, even an employee application form, which is actually one of the use cases we'll cover later. These are great ways for you to present your business in the best light possible and moving away from paper or very slow, non-integrated data capture. So with that introduction, hopefully everyone has a pretty solid understanding that public forms are your digital forms, but made accessible to more people outside of your GoFormz account. And Summer, if you want to take it away, we're going to let you cover all the fun details that everyone's really here to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to jump right in and we'll see it in action. Oops, jumping too fast. Yeah, so in the demo today, what we'll go through and demo and review, we'll go through the basics of creating and sharing a public form. So showing you how you can go about doing that inside of your account, how to track and review your public form responses. So after they've been submitted, how can you go and find them, see them, review them, access that data. Some tips for optimizing your public forms. So setting those expirations, configuring your data sources correctly so you can actually use them for your public forms, and then identity verification. That one is both to make sure that you have the right person is filling it out, and then also so that you can use e-signatures. It's an important one for the compliance there. And then how to set up intelligent data workflows with public forms. We'll show you two different workflows today during the demo. So, all right, let's go ahead and see it in action. So I'm going to show you guys two different scenarios today. The first scenario is going to be a template-based public form coupled with a cloud upload. So the scenario, imagine you manage a collection of properties and your standard procedure is to capture visitor sign-ins. So I'm here navigated already to our templates tab. I'm going to click on a template that I've already set up called company visitor sign-in. So here you can see it's just a standard visitor intake form, visitor sign-in form. But one thing I want to show you here, I did add a data source. This is a database field, and then each of these fields are linked to that data source. So I have my data sources tab, which you can find under more, open here, just to show you how to configure this. So this is the example data source that I was using. We do have a column over here for public. You do want to make sure that that's toggled on. So I toggled it off to show you the off state, and then toggled on. The reason it's important to toggle this on is so that it's available when doing a public form. We allow you to toggle it on and off just to protect your data. If you've got something that's secure that should not be publicly available, you can toggle that off. So hopping back over to our form. So here I've got this all set up. There's a couple different ways that you can take this template and then make a template-based form. You can initiate it from the settings tab, clicking public forms, or you could navigate to the public forms tab. Since I'm already in here, I'm going to go ahead and click public forms. And I'm going to create a new public form. So you can see it's already referencing the one that I was just showing you, the template I was just showing you, company visitor sign-in. And I'm going to click create a public form. The type of form I'm creating right now is one for multi-use without identity verification. So what I'm going to generate after I put this together is just a link that can be shared in whatever way you see best for sharing that link. So I'm going to go ahead and edit my title to just be company visitor sign-in. Over here on the left side, you can configure the fields that will be relevant. I'm going to leave them all because I want every single field to be filled out when they're filling out the visitor sign-in. You can easily select and deselect, but again, I'm going to leave them all selected. You'll set your view type. So if you prefer to use list view, you could choose list view. I'm going to leave this at form view as well. This option is so if you want to share a PDF after submission. The visitor sign-ins, they don't need this, so I'm going to remove that piece actually. We only need to save one on our end in this scenario. And then you can set an expiration. So you toggle this on to set an expiration. Let's say we were having an open house for 2 weeks. So visitors are allowed to come and visit the properties. I could have this now expire after a certain amount of time. So let's say I wanted to set it to expire on the 28th. I just select that and we've got our expiration set up. Once all of these details are configured, you can hit Save Public Form and it'll automatically generate that link for you. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link and I'm just going to open it in another tab and we will revisit that in just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. The next thing I want to show you is how to set up a workflow related to that specific template. So every time that visitor submission gets completed, it would automatically upload to your cloud storage of choice. So I've selected the Workflows tab. I'm going to go over here and hit Create. When clicking Create, you're taken to our Workflow Recipes library. These workflow recipes are easy ways for you to get started with some of our more main workflows. I do want to call out on this page that we do differentiate between a regular form submission and a public form submission. So you'll want to make sure that the recipe you're looking for is specific to public forms. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. The one that I'm going to be showing you today is uploading a submitted public form to Google Drive. You will see we do have other cloud options here, Dropbox, Box, things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and click that recipe. And what you'll notice is over here on the left that it already has pre-added the steps that you'll need to accomplish this. So this first one, public form submitted. So I need to configure which template. So I'm going to leave it as forms owned by anyone. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to select that template that I just showed you guys, company visitor sign-in. Go ahead and select that. And then I'm already done with this first step. So I'm going to hit next. And then here, the next step that you need to configure is exporting that form to a PDF. I'm going to go ahead and here and leave included pages as blank because I do want to include every single page. And then I'm going to open advanced. And here you can go ahead and select whatever you want that file name to be. I'm going to choose the form name so that it names whatever the submission is called. I had set up my name to name based on the name of the visitor. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And then here's where you'll configure and set up where you actually want it to go, which Google workspace. So the first thing you need to select is your workspace. I already do have one connected just for the sake of this demo. If you want to manage those connected or add additional ones, you can click Manage Connected Apps. And this is the page where you can go ahead and set those up. It looks pretty similar to our Workflow Recipes page where you can just select a card and then it'll easily walk you through that process of adding that connection. Then I need to select my destination drive. I'm just going to choose my root folder. And then I have pre-set up a folder called Visitor Sign-ins, which is where I want those actual sign-ins to be housed after each submission. So go ahead and select that. And we're done. That's all that we need to set up. You can name it something that's intuitive to you. So from your Workflows tab, you know what that workflow is accomplishing. So you can check on it, troubleshoot it, things like that, edit it, whatever you need to do. And then you would toggle this to active and then you would save. I'm not going to save it because I do already have one set up and I don't want to have it run twice. So go ahead and exit that. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate back over here. And then this is actually a little zoomed in. So I'm just going to zoom out a bit. And then I'm just going to walk through just demoing as if someone was filling it in. So you'll see here that all I did was select that property and it pre-filled all of those because I have that public data source set up. So very convenient. If you already know the information based on one field, save your users a lot or your fillers a lot of time. And then I'm just going to put in here summer testing. Let's say I was visiting for an appointment and this is my comment. So once your user fills all of these out, they can go ahead and hit submit. And they'll submit that form. And then we'll go over here and just hit refresh. And there it is. Your form has automatically uploaded to your Google workspace. See, there's my comment and there's my form. All right, and then, so as those submissions come in, another place that you can go and see them. So you can just go straight to your Google Drive to see the ones that have been submitted there. As they come in, you can also hop over to our Public Forms tab. And then from this little menus action, so here you've got a counter of how many submissions. We only have one so far because I just demoed showing that, but you would hit View Forms and you'll find that list of the forms that have been submitted. Awesome. Okay, so that was scenario one. The second scenario that I want to show you guys is a form-based public form with an email notification sent once it is submitted. So you'll also see that that form did end up over here as well, just another place you can go to find it. Okay, so the second scenario, let's say that you are working on a work order and you need to collect a customer signature, and that's the final stage of your form, okay? And then after the customer signs it, you want it to automatically send to your supervisor for review. So I'm gonna hop in. So this example, we have a technician, Billy Wilson. He's out on a site working on a property, filling out that form, and it's already completed. All he needs is to collect this customer signature and then have them date it. So what we'll go ahead and do here is when you've got your form open, you can go ahead and click Create Public Form. Let's go ahead and click that. I'm going to remove this date and just name it for customer. And then over here on the left, again, we don't want to select all of those fields from that customer. I just want to collect customer name and customer signature date. So I'm going to select those two. I'm going to keep it at form view. For this one, you'll notice that I want to have PDF submission on because I do have two signatures and I want to make sure that that delivers to her as well, the customer who's filling it out. I'm not going to add an expiration date to this one because it's sending to her right away. She's just going to send it right back to me. It's only a single use. I don't need this one to expire. If you did have something where it was a contract you need signed and it has an expiration date, you can set that up right here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And then for this example, I'm going to send it by email. So I'm going to send it to Lee Johnson. Just going to copy and paste in this email address. So add our email address. This is where you could edit the email subject and edit the email body. I'm just going to use what pre-filled here for now. And then I'm going to leave verify the recipient's identity on. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. And then we will hop over here. Just take a second for it to come through. Yep, and then you'll see in my email inbox is a link to that form, or an email containing a link to that form. And I just want to clarify, this is not a user inside of GoFormz. This is the public person. Any person can go ahead and fill out this form. So I'll hit review and complete. And then here, the way that they will confirm their identity is by confirming their email address, which is at ljohnson@goformz.com. So hit confirm. And then what you'll see here is, oh, I must have selected the wrong field. So what should have happened is that the customer signature, I grabbed the wrong field, but the customer signature would have been available and then the date would be available. So go ahead and hit today's date. I would go ahead and sign that. Why don't we send that one more time? So I'm just going to go back over here. This is where it's good to verify what you're working on. So I'm going to reopen this. I'm going to go ahead and hit create public form, deselect these, and I'm going to hit customer signature and customer signature date. Let's go ahead and hit next and we'll resend that. Sorry, guys. Okay, so configuring all of my details, I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And we will refresh this and try it again. Add that email. All right, so now when we scroll down, this is what I meant to have happen, and it's always good to re-verify your data before you hit send. Little lessons learned on the fly, right? So then your user, Lee Johnson, can go ahead and sign this form. They'll hit sign, they'll select their date. And now before I hit submit, I want to show you guys the workflow that I would have set up in order to have it automatically send. So I'm going to hop back over here into GoFormz and hop into workflows. And again, we can use one of those easy to use pre-set up workflow recipes. The one we're going to choose, again, differentiating between public forms and a regular form. I'm going to choose send an email with a PDF copy of a public form submitted. So I'll go ahead and select that recipe. Again, I'm going to leave forms owned by anyone, leave that one as is. And then I'm going to select the template. So this one was our customer work order. So basically this is any time a customer work order is submitted as a public form, I want to have it export to a PDF. Again, I'm going to include all pages. This one's already set up, so I can leave it as is. And then I want it to send an email. And so we're going to have this send to our manager. So let's imagine that our manager is me at beta testing. So to this email address. we can go ahead and add in a subject. And what's great here is you can pull data from the form itself to populate this. So what I'm going to have this say, I'm going to say new submission. And then I'm going to add that form name. Great. And then here is where I would go ahead and add like, hello, Summer, please review. This would be the email that would send. This one I also already have set up. So just showing you guys how to set it up, but you would, again, name it in something that is recognizable to you so that you know what the workflow is. You would set it to active, you would save it, and then we'd be good to go. So you'll see here, I have one called email manager work order, and it's set up exactly the same as what I just showed you. Okay, great. So now let's return back over here. I'm going to go ahead and submit this form. So I'm ready to submit it. Fantastic. And then when I hop over here into that email, this is the manager's email, and then hit refresh. You'll notice that I received an email that says that work order has been submitted with the copy that I would have added and an attachment to the form itself. So streamlining that process of getting the review from your manager and getting things done faster for your customers. Awesome. And then just to show where you can then find that in here. So again, you can see in our, if I go ahead here and open that version history, you can see that it was modified using a public form by Lee Johnson, where it was then e-signed. And then you can click on the form itself to open it and view it here as well. Cool. Okay. And that concludes the demo portion. So the next thing I'd want to chat with you guys about is what are some additional popular use cases. So a few common use cases. One would be contract signatures and authorizations. So similar to that form that I showed you guys being sent out, let's say you had a contract, something like that, and you just need to collect that customer signature. That's a great example of a form-based public form use case. You can easily share and collect job applications. So you could post a link and then any job applicant can select that link and then fill out that job application. Seamlessly gather student permission slips, simple event registration, new client intake. What's great about this is now instead of having to have somebody inside of your account, you can reach to any client who's external and have them fill out your client intake form. Efficiently accumulate customer feedback and then effective large group surveys. So being able to take in lots of data using that template-based public form to collect data from anyone, anywhere, at any time. Awesome. I'll kick it back over to you, Victoria, to hop into our case studies.
And before I do want to say that I think actually that was the best way that could have gone, because that was so fast to go back and update it. Like, even if you make a little mistake like that, that's okay. Just hop right back in, recreate it, select the ones you actually want, and there you go. Like, that was actually a really good real world example that somebody like you would encounter very often and would immediately panic. So thank you for showing me there would be no need to panic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And actually, now that you're saying that, a different alternative is you could have hopped into, can I just show you actually?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So you
have a good use case.
Yeah, exactly. Navigate to that public forms tab and you can actually edit that form. So if you hop in here, I could have gone here and hit edit and actually edited it right here. So instead of customer name, I could have clicked customer signature and then resaved my public form and edited it right there as well. So a couple different options to fix the mistake.
That is perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
There wasn't a question about that, but now in case that was just like buzzing around in the back of anyone's mind, now you know, really easy to make changes and adjust that. So I guess on that note, we'll jump into a few of my personal favorite case studies, specifically those using public forms. And the first one is Bellman & Co. I am maybe a little bit too excited about this one because they went all out with it. So Bellman & Co. is a construction company, but specifically they also handle the managerial maintenance in fixing, like building and fixing high-rise apartment complexes. That's a very minimized version of what they do. But yes, they have their regular users and their regular forms that they have to fill out. There's a lot of safety forms. There's a lot of other detail, as you might imagine in the construction industry, as some people here might experience in the construction industry. There's a lot of paperwork that goes along with building anything. But they actually found a fantastic use case for public forms because they needed a better way to handle maintenance requests from all the tenants of every single unit of every single complex that they're building. And instead of having all those people listed as users on their account who may or may not actually ever need to submit anything, though, I mean, I'm trying to imagine living somewhere and not having something go wrong, at least at one point. Probably everyone's going to need it, but they have a public website built up where they've actually embedded the form. And I'm actually going to make you skip to the next slide so everyone can see it. Thank you, Summer. So there it is. They've made it have the exact same look and feel as their website. What happens is you go to this site if you have an issue in your particular unit, you select using the drop-down menu your property. It's linked to a public data source, just like Summer showed you, where it pre-fills that address and gives you very specific options and can even adjust what is presented to you based on which item you selected, because maybe some units have washer dryer hookups and some units don't. That might not be the best example. But once you fill out all this information, they've also leveraged the Procore integration where it goes and it automatically creates a ticket within their Procore system that they can now start assigning and prioritizing the resources to go get this fixed, all with a very seamless, streamlined user experience. So this is kind of that example of present your best self to your customers. I don't know if anyone else here has ever had that moment of calling maintenance or a super where they maybe show up and write down a few options on a Post-it note. And maybe you wonder if this is ever going to get fixed. Is my faucet ever going to work again? Who knows? But now you don't have to worry about that anymore, especially since it kind of lessens the tension of, did this actually get submitted or not? You'll get a copy of the request knowing for sure that you submitted this maintenance request to your team. So Bellmain & Co. is absolutely a fantastic use case for public forms. And then the next one is Prestige Farms. So Prestige Farms, yes, has a fair number of users and obviously needs to have their specific day-to-day forms that they do use within their account. And this can be, data sharing as far as different farm locations, knowing exactly what feeding schedules there have been, what planting schedules there have been, different resources, inputs, outputs, and of course, alerting people if there's some sort of an issue. But they found a fantastic use case for public forms in getting new applicants. And I don't know if there are a lot of hiring managers or HR teams on the call today, but in 2016, Career Builder actually put out a study that 60% of applicants don't finish filling out their applications because it's too long or it's too painful of a process, or that you've asked for the same information 3 different times now and they just don't want to fill it out anymore. Another company, that's another recruiter data capture company called Appcast, updated that in 2022. It's now 92% of job seekers will not finish filling out an application if it feels arduous. So if you were struggling with recruitment or attracting candidates, this is a fantastic solution to try. It gives you the ability to pull in information, again, that you're probably only going to need once. These public forms you're ideally not going to have the same applicant submitting a resume and application for the same position multiple times. But for those one-time use cases where you need someone outside your account to send you information, this is a great way to do it. It keeps it digitized. It puts the information right where you need it to go. As Summer showed you, it can automatically route an email with that resume attached to it directly to the person, or resume and application directly to the person who should be hiring for that position, with the ability to add different fields. So you can attach a cover letter, you could attach portfolios, you could attach their actual resume if your application asks different questions. There are a lot of options to solve that pain point of attracting better qualified candidates. And Prestige Farms managed it very nicely. And if you're interested in seeing more detail about either one of those case studies, they're actually available in the GoFormz Resources Center. If you haven't been to the GoFormz Resources Center, I highly recommend taking a stop there. There are a lot of different case studies and use cases, all broken down by industry, so you can see how other people in your industry are finding the best ways to implement GoFormz. So on that note, I think we're ready to hop into some questions. So if you've already sent in a question, we're going to dive into those now. If you have had a question come up, but haven't had a chance to send it in yet, please feel free to. Don't worry, the question just sends to us. It doesn't go to everyone publicly. So if you're worried that the question sounds silly, it doesn't. There are no silly questions. There might be a silly answer, but no, I'm kidding. Summer will not steer you astray in that sense. But all right, our first question that we've got over here. So can you cover the biggest difference between using public forms versus the mobile app to collect data?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our mobile app actually offers some unique advantages. We have offline capabilities, there's better data handling. It does also enable you to set up logic based on your users and groups. And it does also offer a few additional like meaningful actions. You can transfer forms, initiate new forms from a template, and then you can also manage or work on multiple forms at the same time. And then for public forms, that's just how you would reach somebody outside of your organization who really anyone, anywhere at any time, but they would not have some of those meaningful actions that using the mobile app would have. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, next question up is utilizing actual e-sign electronic signature capture with public forms. Is it still compatible?
Yeah, absolutely. E-sign can be used with form-based public forms only. That template-based one where I showed you that visitor sign-in, you wouldn't be able to use e-sign in that case because it would not be compliant. You do have to be able to verify that user's identity. But for our form-based public forms, e-sign is a great option for capturing signatures, signing contracts, things like that. Yeah, absolutely. There's just a few things that as you go through the process, and the process does guide you through it, you do have to deliver that PDF, you do have to verify the identity. So you would want to send it either via email or via text, but absolutely you can use e-sign.
All right, here's a fun one. For multiple individuals can input data when they're members of your account. Can they do the same on public forms?
Yes, absolutely. So using a form-based public form, you can send it out, the same form to multiple individuals. You just would want to send it one at a time, right? So you'd have your first signer. Once that's submitted, then you can send it to the next signer, things like that. So multiple individuals can work on the same public form. You just don't want to have it all happening at the same time, if that makes sense.
I think that makes sense. You don't want multiple people trying to open it at the same time. That might cause some problems. Can you pre-sign a form and then share it with an outside party for review and another signature?
Absolutely. Yeah. So similar to that second scenario that I showed you, you can be working on a form, get it completely set up the way that you want, sign it, and then send it out to that external party to get that signature. So you can send a public form with pre-filled data, including a signature.
Perfect. All right. This one kind of dovetails a little bit with one of the previous ones. But can you reopen a public form and edit and resubmit it if you don't have a GoFormz account or you don't have the app downloaded on your phone?
So once a public, sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, sorry.
Just make sure I'm understanding it. Yep.
You're good. Can you reopen a public form to edit and resubmit it?
So if you are the person, the public form filler, the person who is the external user, no, once it's submitted, it's submitted. However, on the other end, you could go open that form and resend it to that user to correct data, re-edit that data, things like that. Once it has been submitted though, that user cannot reopen it. So that part of that is so that we can store that secure data for you of what was actually submitted by that external person. But you can absolutely open that form from the Forms tab and then resend it with those fields available for that public form user to resubmit.
Perfect. Okay, but that's the big differentiator is that would be, you would have to be a GoFormz user to make, with the right permissions, to make the changes to the form that was already submitted and then resend it to the person who's outside your GoFormz account. Yes,
you would have to have the correct permissions inside the account, be the owner of that form, then reopen it and then resend it and reconfigure. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
one thing that was brought up is really emphasizing, so if you're sending this form to, say, a customer to sign a contract, do you have to create a user account for your customer?
No, no. So one of the benefits of public forms is that you can send them to people outside of your organization. So if you have a customer and you want to just capture their signature, our form-based public form is a great option for that.
Perfect. All right. What type of alert will you receive when, what type of alert will people receive when I share a form with them? So what types of notifications will I get when they fill it out?
Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, two parts to that question. The first one, I'll respond to the first one first, which is when sending a public form, the type of alert depends on how you send it. So if you send it via email, you'll see the person will receive an email similar to one that I showed earlier in the demo. With a link to access that form. If you utilize text, they'll receive it directly on their phone, a link inside of that text that they can open and then fill out the form. That's how they would be notified that a public form has been sent to them. For a template-based one or a link, you'll have the link and then you'll just choose how you want to distribute that link. That's up to you. In terms of notifications you get when a public form is submitted, you would want to set up workflows for that. So you have a lot of control about how you want to be notified. So you could set it up to email out to individual parties, things like that. Otherwise, there's, so you would just want to configure a workflow so that you receive that kind of notification to your email, wherever is most convenient for you.
So there are a lot of options. And you know what they say, person with the most options wins. And obviously winning everything. I'm kidding. We're not that.
That is our goal for our customers, for them to win.
All right, next question. Can you explain the credit system?
Yeah, so we have a credit system. So a user does not have to have a license to fill out a form. So basically all of our public forms are based on those credits, and credits are per submission. So you don't use a credit until someone has actually hit submit on that form. Yeah, does that answer the question? Anything you think I should expand on for that one, Victoria?
It just asked for an explanation of the credit system, and I feel like that was a very solid explanation of the credit system. But if there are more questions specifically about public forms credits, or how, if you want to try it out a little bit, anything like that, then definitely reach out to our sales team, which will cover some of that contact information as well. And we can walk you through we'll happily go through your exact use case with you and figure out exactly what system will work best. All right, the next question that I've got for you is, do I have to add a user license for each user who's filling out a public form?
Okay, yeah, so nope, you don't. Public forms do not require a GoFormz license. So public forms can be sent to anyone, anywhere, using those public form credits that we just talked about. And then again, just to reiterate, credits are per submission, not per send.
Perfect. Okay, right now, that looks like all the questions that we've got, but those were some great questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that's the cap on the questions, and we'll move over to our recap end here. And then, of course, if more questions come up, we'll be covering some contact information as well, or you can just throw into the QA panel. Please help. I really want to figure out how GoFormz works for me, and we'll have a specialist reach out to you. But some of the big things that we hope you're walking away from this webinar today are feeling more comfortable collecting information from absolutely anyone. And those are whether they are a GoFormz user listed on your account, or a customer you're going to have one interaction with, or a job applicant that you're looking for, absolutely anyone else in the world, versus just collecting information from those inside your account. And feeling confident knowing that you have the ability to send these public forms by text, by email, or just sending straight link in any way, shape, or form, whether that be through Slack or Facebook Messenger, or however you feel like getting that link out to people, whatever your communication form works best for you. Then, of course, increasing your data quality. So having the ability to take control over your data capture. That's the biggest thing that you're going to walk away with anytime that you switch from, especially switching from paper forms over to GoFormz, is giving you that ability to walk away from manual data entry, getting all of your data integrated exactly where you need it. And then, of course, feeling comfortable understanding where, okay, perfect, the mobile app gives me all this additional rich context and data. I can snap a photo right on my phone and attach it right to my form, versus using a public form where, great, I don't want to keep track of all the visitors, or I don't want to implement all these visitors to my open house on my GoFormz account, but I still want to keep record of them and then possibly have their email addresses collected so I can let them know about big events in the future. And then, of course, improving your customer experience. Obviously, I already said I was a big fan of the Balmain & Co. Embedded form. I just think it's slick. I love the way that looks. But there are other fantastic options as well. And at the end of the day, anytime that you're streamlining and easing any sort of communication that you have with your customers, you're going to build better rapport with your customers. They're going to trust you a little bit more. They're going to feel a little bit more connected with you, and you're not going to lose any of that data. So you know that you can always follow up with them when you need to. So those are some of the biggest takeaways that we hope that you feel confident in after this webinar. I did it backwards. I was supposed to do the questions now. Apparently, I'm so sorry, but you know what? We're mixing it up. We're keeping things exciting. It's Pi Day. If you aren't already excited about, obviously that's where my brain already is. So I'm just focused on like Marionberry or pumpkin. Where am I going today? I don't know. But our contact information. Oh no, we're not going into contact information either. Apparently my brain really is too far ahead of me today. I'm so sorry, everyone. But if you haven't heard, the GoFormz certification course, the fundamentals of GoFormz, is available right now. You can also find that in the resources center that I mentioned earlier. And it gives you a very detailed walkthrough so that at the end of this short sort of certification course, you walk away feeling comfortable not only in using GoFormz within your own business, but also being able to help your team get onboarded. And having a GoFormz specialist within your company just makes the entire process so much smoother. I can't recommend it enough. And it is a free course to take, so you can sign up and go for it whenever it works for you. We will be sending out a webinar recap email. This will have links to everything that we've covered here. It'll have the link to the recording. So if you want to go back and take a look at any of this, you'll be able to access that as well. And then, of course, if you messaged us specifically about questions or a specific use case, then we'll be able to reach out to you as well. So expect more than just the automated email from us on that front. And then now we're getting to the contact information. Here we go. In case you come up with a question later, then please feel free to reach out to us. If you're already a GoFormz user, then you can contact us at accountmanagement@goformz.com. If you have some tech specific questions, very IT focused questions, then you can contact our support team. That's support@goformz.com. And if you don't use GoFormz yet, this is your first experience to it, and you are just really excited to figure out what more is going on because now you know a lot about public forms, but you want to learn about the rest of the forms, then you can contact us at sales@goformz.com.